This is the Commodities, Scrap Metal Recycling and Economic Report, September 18th, 2022. U.S. weekly raw steel production fell to 1.72 million tons, a 75.7% steel mill utilization rate versus 76.4% last year. This was on continued slow U.S. manufacturing. WTI crude oil price rose to $91.13 a barrel, a 10-month high, which is inflationary. This was on China's stimulus and continued supply cuts by Saudi Arabia and Russia. Also, the U.S. companies remain committed to shareholders by only implementing a slight increase in production to keep high prices that bring higher profits. The U.S. weekly oil rig count was up slightly to 515 as U.S. oil companies remain committed to the tight supply we just talked about. But importantly, the U.S. continues to be the #1 oil producer in the world, higher than Saudi Arabia or Russia. U.S. weekly crude oil production rose slightly to 12.9 million barrels per day, but that was the highest in 4.5 years, while we are exporting, yes, exporting near a record level. Note that 70% of the oil we do import is from Canada and Mexico, while only 7% is from Saudi Arabia. And also, we turn much of our imported oil into value-added things like diesel fuel and gasoline, which then we export, which creates U.S. jobs. Scrap steel #1 HMS price was steady at $330 a gross ton. This was on slow U.S. manufacturing, causing weak demand. Also, we now have the strong U.S. dollar, which raises prices other countries pay for our U.S. scrap, so that hurts scrap exports. Hot rolled coil steel price fell to $33.48 a hundredweight, which is $6.70 a ton on weak demand. Copper price actually rose to $3.80 a pound on improved demand in China, which is 50% of global demand. Aluminum price rose to $1, which is $21.95 a metric ton, as China halted aluminum production expansion. Also, increased demand from solar panels and electric vehicles is offsetting lower construction demand in China. U.S. August NFIB Small Business Optimism Index fell to 91.3 as 23% reported inflation as the #1 issue. Also, more companies were concerned about business over the next 6 months. U.S. August industrial production rose 0.4% from July as manufacturing and mining were up the most. U.S. August annual inflation rose to 3.7% as fuel oil and gasoline rose the most. But core inflation, which excludes food and energy, actually fell to 4.3%. U.S. August retail sales, which are a major part of the U.S. economy. Sales rose 2.5% over last year, but with 3.7% inflation, sales were actually below last year in units. Gasoline and clothing were up the most. U.S. September U of M consumer sentiment fell to 67.7, just off a 2-year high. Current conditions felt worse, but future expectations rose. Wall Street's S&P 500 index, which is a broader index than the Dow 30, fell to 4450 as high-tech stocks fell and the auto strike began. Roll-off trailers for sale at Ben Lee from a short 25-foot 11-inch tandem axle up to our 50-foot 8-axle. All are heavy-duty but optimized to carry the most weight. Calls for quote at 734-722-8100. This report is brought to you by Ben Lee Roll-Off Trailers, Gondola Trailers, Lugger Trucks, and Roll-Off Trailer Parts. As always, feel free to call or email me with any questions. I hope all have a safe and profitable week.